I am trying to beat every Easter egg in Call of Duty Zombies, and today we're going back in time to the golden era of COD Zombies with Black Ops 3. Released in 2015, this game gave us some of the best maps and Easter eggs of all time. And some of these were f***ing hard, bro. So stick around to see how many deaths I rack up on my journey to complete Black Ops 3's Super Easter Egg solo, and enjoy the show. The year is 2015. Black Ops 3 just dropped and a 12-year-old Springer just got himself a copy of the new Game of the Year. Truly the hype of civilization. So I downloaded Black Ops 3 on my Xbox with my McDonald's Wi-Fi and jumped straight into Shadows of Evil. And since the first moment I got to witness the streets of Chicago, Morgue City, Shadows have been my favorite Call of Duty Zombies map till this day. But enough talk, because we have an Easter egg to complete, so buckle up. Grab your popcorn, tell your mom to subscribe to my channel or you'll drop out of school, and get ready for our first map on our Black Ops 3 Zombies journey. So I spawned in and ran straight to the door to open it. I jumped straight into beast mode, turned on the power for quick revive, destroyed the box containing the summoning key, turned on the power to the ritual piece, stamina, and the door in front of the stairs that goes up to the ritual room. I grabbed quick revive on the way up to the ritual because we all know I'm going to die in the next 10 minutes. I placed the object and the ritual had begun. After 30 business seconds or some, the ritual was finished and we had obtained our first gummy worm. Next up, I went to the candle district, jumped into beast mode and opened up the hatch to the ritual piece. As I was quite short on cash, I killed zombies until I had enough to open the door to the ritual, placed down the ritual piece, and 30 business seconds later, we had our second gummy worm and only 2 more to go. And finally, our very best friend spawned in, the Margwa. And I just had to say, god damn, that bastard has so much health. So after running a marathon faster than David Goggins to avoid being slaughtered by a misbegotten 2-legged 3-headed octopus, we were finally able to continue our adventure, and our next stop was the waterfront district. I jumped into beast mode, opened all the doors, picked up the ritual piece, did the ritual, and with that we had our third gummy worm in place. Next up was to go down to the footlight district. I opened all the doors with beast mode, picked up the ritual piece, completed the ritual, and with that we had all 4 gummy worms to open up the pack-a-punch. But first I had to hop on the Morgue City Metro to find the 3 symbols that we need to open a wall to access the sword that we need for the Easter egg. So I took the train from footlight to candles and got 2 symbols. Then the train traveled to waterfront where we found our last symbol, and with that we had the gummy worms and the symbols ready. I ran out of the waterfront train station happy as a little kid on Christmas Eve, but I had forgotten all about the Margwa that I left in footlight after the ritual, and let's just say he didn't take this well. We're not even a quarter of an hour into the game and we've already got our first down. And it was at this moment that I realized how difficult this will be in relation to our Cold War adventure. By the way, check out the video, by the way, link in description. So with a pulse higher than a crackhead under a bridge in Chicago, I ran faster than Usain Bolt to the nearest portal, jumped straight into beast mode to open up the sword, and being so stressed from being knocked down by a Margwa on round 5, I managed to enter a wrong symbol. So in full panic, I ran up to the spawn by myself, quick revive, ran back to the basement area, placed all the gummy worms, and the final ritual was on. After 20 business seconds, the ritual was over, but our Margwa was still with us and wouldn't give us room to do what we needed to do. So I started the Margwa, jumped into beast mode, opened up the sword, and the Easter egg had started. I picked up the Apothecary egg, placed it on the statue, ran up to the footlight district and bought myself a jug. Because damn, I wouldn't have survived another 5 minutes without it. So next up, I decided to pick up the last shield part I was missing to build a shield, and with this I ended the round and filled up the first egg. The next thing I did was to fill up the egg in the candle district, then waterfront, and finally footlight, and with that we could finally get the sword. I pack-a-punch my KRM into the dragon's glare because there is no other wall buy in COD Zombies history that can match this beast of a gun. The next step was to upgrade our sword, and to do this we had to visit a keeper who had a new egg for us. To upgrade the sword we had to do 4 rituals that only consists of killing Margwas, which I have a long experience with. So I spawned in our first Margwa, shot him like a dog in the street, and we were already done with 1 out of 4. The next round I did the exact same thing, only this time it spawned 2 Margwas instead of 1, but with my lifelong experience of Margwa slaying, this weren't a problem at all. So I smoked both of them in seconds and we were already halfway there. Round 10 was underway and 2 new Margwas spawned went in to pay a visit to heaven. I slaughtered the first one in seconds and ran back to Footlight to slaughter his brother, and this is where I managed to make a big mistake. Two poor zombies decided to throw some hands, and I was the one who lost the fight, to say the least. So in full panic, I ran to the spawn and bought myself Quick Revive again, and then Jug again. And since I died while doing the ritual, I had to redo the ritual, which also meant I had to kill both Margos again as well. This time I managed to kill both of them in seconds, and it was just one ritual left. But first, another Margos spawned in, which really wanted to stop me from completing this Easter egg, but as you may have experienced, I'm an expert when it comes to killing Margos. So I clapped his ass faster than a gambling addict loses his house at the nearest casino. I'm just joking. I died for the third time. I ran to Footlight, bought Jug for the third time, killed the Margwa, clutched the most incredible situations, and started our last ritual. I killed the first Margwa with no problem, and I killed his brother soon after, and with that we had finished our egg. Fast forward to the next game, I just finished getting all the gummy worms and died on the way out of the ritual. Soon after, a Margwa came behind me and gave me a pleasant surprise. After a long time of running around like an idiot, I'd finally managed to upgrade the sword, and with this, it was time to do the last step of the Easter egg before the boss fight. The flag step. All I have to do for this step is to protect the flag in 4 different locations while it's raining gigantic meatballs. And that's it. Okay. Maybe it wasn't as easy as it sounds. So after failing the flag step, God knows how many times, I decided to change my strategy. I realized that I would need more help if I was ever going to be able to complete this Easter egg. So I summoned what is potentially the best AI companion to have by your side in COD Zombies history. But potentially and not definitely? Well, the Civil Protector had to prove himself first. Whoa. Deja vu. Let me just say, there is no doubt that the Civil Protector gives Klaus from Marauder Totem a run for his money, because damn, I would never have managed to complete this Easter egg without him. So after a long time of protecting the flag in all 4 areas, we were finally ready for the boss fight. So I ran into the Pack-a-Punch room, began shooting at the Shadow Man like my life depended on this, but I quickly realized that I wasn't prepared at all. Wave after wave went by and the Shadow Man wouldn't die. But then it happened. No, I died for the 100th time. And I got back up, and made a wrong jump and fell to my death. The end. After dying from falling into the depths of hell, I decided to jump straight into another game, and fast forward a couple of rounds, we were back at the boss fight. But this time with a death machine in our pocket. So I popped my gobble gum, took my death machine out, and just witnessed how fast this went. And with that, Shadow So Evil was completed. The second launch map to Black Ops 3 Zombies, and the more beginner-friendly one of them. The Giant launched besides Shadow So Evil, but with a catch. You had to have the season pass to access this map. The Giant was the perfect map for new zombie players who weren't familiar with the game, so putting this behind a paywall inside the game and having the complex and confusing Shadow So Evil as the free map, where you literally have to sacrifice 4 people just to get access to the Pack-a-Punch. Well, Treyarch, what were you thinking? The Giant is a great map and I really enjoy it, but the Easter egg on this map, well, the world record speedrun is 1 minute and 6 seconds, so yeah. But enough talk, let's hop into our second adventure of our Black Ops 3 Zombies journey. So I spawned into the cold streets of the Reese, killed zombies until I had enough to open the first door, got shopping free as my first gobblegum and opened up almost every door on the map and got the fire sale gobblegum. I plan to do both the main Easter egg and the side Easter egg for the Giant, so I would need monkey bombs, and lucky me, I got them after a couple of spins with the mystery box. Fast forward to round 3, I got Percoholic in the gobblegum machine, killed the last zombie, and got wall power so I could pack-a-punch my first wall weapon. So to do the Easter egg on the Giant, we first have to shoot a damn box or something. Then a random ass old man starts talking about hide and seek with us. Furthermore, I had to shoot 3 different objects around the map and pick up the reward we got, the annihilator, and know that this weapon is straight up hot garbage. And with that, the main Easter egg was completed. As I mentioned earlier, the world record for this Easter egg is legit 1 minute. Furthermore, I did the free perk Easter egg, whatever you want to call it. To do this, we had to throw a monkey bomb into each teleporter and then teleport the monkey bomb back to spawn. And when we had all 3 done, we could activate a laser that melted a pile of snow. And with that, we opened up Deadshot, the worst perk in Black Ops 3 Zombies. And with that, the giant was done. Black Ops 3 Zombies started with a bang. Shadows of Evil became a fan favorite throughout the years, and the giant was the perfect remaster of the Reese in my opinion. So with the stakes higher than ever for the first DLC, Treyarch really had to put in the work if they ever wanted to live up to the hype, and from a retrospective almost 10 years later, we can all agree that our expectations were met. The Eisendrache may be the greatest Call of Duty Zombies map of all time, because this map comes close to what people define as perfection. Snowy environment with a gigantic German castle filled with dragons and secrets, and some of the best wonder weapons of all time, and the Easter egg with the first real boss fight ever created by Treyarch? What more could you wish? And before y'all hop in the comment section to tell me that Advanced Warfare's Eric Zombies said the first ever boss fight in COD Zombies history. Just know that I'm talking about a real boss fight. Not some shit where you fight an old ass janitor underwater with space lasers. But enough is enough, because y'all understand that I really like this map. But the question remaining is, can I complete this Easter egg, beat the Keeper boss and send Dempsey to heaven? Or the question you really want to hear, how many deaths are we going to add to the death counter? Well, it's only one way to find out. So sit back and relax as we travel through the castle of the Iron Dragon. So I spawned in, knifed zombies until round 1, hit the gobble gum machine, I got myself soda fountain. A gum that gives you a free perk every time you buy a perk and removes the perk limit. So in other words, a downgraded version of the perkaholic. And finally on round 4, I got the lucky spin in the gobble gum machine, I got myself shopping free. I opened every single door in my way, bought the KN-44 and the HVK, but didn't realize that I just switched out the starting pistols that I would need in the boss fight, so good job right there. Next up, I picked up the first shield part, fed the first dragon, and by round 6, we were all the dragons done eating for the day, and we acquired the Wrath of the Ancients. In other words, just a regular bow. I round down into the Undercroft, got myself a new soda fountain, and grabbed a jug. Our next mission was to upgrade our bow, and let me guess, y'all thought I was gonna grab the lightning bow like everybody else because it's the best one? Well, then I'm sorry to tell you that you're wrong. Since y'all saw how I clutched both the Shadows of Evil and the giant like it was nothing, you already know that your boy is a COD Zombies veteran. So I decided to take a leap of faith by making the firebow instead. I took my professional zombie slaying ass down to the rocket test site to wait for the rocket launch to begin, and decided to save the last zombie so I could beat the Easter egg as early as possible. And my god, did this take forever. But after about 3 business days of walking around in a circle like a babysitter watching a 10-year-old in front of the TV playing Fortnite, the rocket test finally began, and as soon as it was done, I ran out and shot the glowing stone, and with that, the first step was completed. Our next step was to become a trick shot god by hitting 3 different circles while flying in air. And I used to be a trick shot master back in the days of Black Ops 2, so I managed to hit the first circle on my first try. So after hitting one of the circles, I had to kill zombies while standing inside of the circle to gather souls. Completed the exact same sequence 2 more times, and by that, the step was done. Next, I headed to the clock tower to get a sign like the ones we found in Shadows of Evil, and our goal was to locate the fireplace that corresponds to the sign we got in the clock tower. And then locate the circle that is glowing. Stand inside of it, and shoot lava rocks with the bow until we reached the fireplace. I don't know how this all sounds, but if you want a better explanation, ask Mr. Rough Waffles. So with only 3 arrows left, we finally made it to the fireplace with only 1 arrow to spare. And out of the fireplace came a broken arrow. So I ran up to the death ray and just witnessed this with your own eyes. And following from the sun came the firebow arrow. I ran down to the Undercroft, placed the arrow on the firebow table, and about 5 boring minutes later, we had obtained the firebow. And with that, we could finally begin the Easter egg. So our first step was the wisp step, where we had to grab the regular bow, shoot the 5 glowing bolts on the teleporter, and by doing this, we activate the step and the Easter egg had begun. I grabbed the first bow and began searching for the wisps and found the first wisp by quick revive in spawn, and the second one by the car outside of spawn, and the third one by the phone at the death ray. But the last one didn't seem to show up, so I had to end the round and try again. Fast forward, I finally managed to find all the 4 wisps, and we could now travel back in time to meet a good old friend of Richtofen that I can't remember the name of. Anyways, this man had placed some objects into a safe in the teleporter room that we would need for the Easter egg. So I wrote down the code to the safe and got teleported back. And finally a panzer spawned in, which I eliminated in seconds and went back to the castle. I obtained the wall power gobblegum and bought myself the KRM wall buy. Next I headed up to the death ray and turned it on. Not like that. So I could put in the code we got from Richtofen's friend to the safe. But my dumbass didn't realize how to do this step, and I ended up ending the round because I thought I did something wrong. And with that, we had to redo the whole step once more. Fast forward to round 13, I just completed the wisp step and traveled back in time and got the code for the safe. I ran up to the computers to put in the code, and with training a couple of zombies while putting in the code, I managed to enter the wrong symbol by accident and had to redo the whole thing again. And finally, on round 14, after doing this step for the 3rd time, I got everything right and we obtained the objects we were missing. I picked up self-medication from the gobblegum machine, placed the 2 tubes we were missing at the death ray, and got ready to do Simon Says with the computer. After about 30 seconds, the computer was satisfied, so I went down to the rocket test site and repeated the exact same process, and by that, we had completed the step. I headed up to the death ray and pressed the green button, which made the death ray go crazy, and out of the skies came Primus Dempsey flying down in a spaceship and crashed straight into the clock tower and fell onto the ground. I ran down to the crash site and found a burning rocket and an Iceman looking Dempsey chilling in an iced out coffin or something. I picked up a vessel of some sort and I had to do the wisp step once more and managed to get myself killed by a single zombie that I for some reason couldn't hit no matter how hard I tried. Fast forward to round 18, I completed the wisp step and teleported back in time to pick up a stone that we would need. I ran over to the box containing the stone and spammed X on my controller as Mr. Raffle Waffles told me in his Easter egg guide with 10 million views, but nothing was happening. What Mr. Waffle Waffles didn't tell me in his video was that I was supposed to press X on the book to open up the box. Something he made a video about after uploading the Easter egg guide. So I then had to redo the whole wisp step once more, travel back in time for the 100th time, pressed X on the book and picked up the stone, and with that, it was only 1 step left. I located the shield parts I was missing and went down to the undercraft to make it, but the zombies didn't want me to succeed, so they just decided to beat my ass. I spawned in the keeper and got ready to complete our last step of the Easter egg. This step was pretty simple. Kill zombies inside of a ring to feed souls to the keeper 4 times, and that's about it. An easy step which anybody could do, but if you're a zombies veteran like me, this step could really become a challenge at times. I ran out of ammo on the firebow and had almost no ammo left on my KRM and only had the HVK to survive with. I pack-punched my HVK, sprayed down zombies like my life depended on it, ran up to the gobblegum machine to try to get something that could save my life, and my god, was I lucky. I got in plain sight in the gobblegum machine, but the goddamn slow-ass animation made me die once more, and with that, I got mad as hell. I threw my controller into the screen and I ended the game. Fast forward to the next game, I had just picked up the stone from the box after traveling back in time and began the keeper step. And I switched to the lightning bow, by the way, because the firebow wasn't doing it for me. And fast forward to round 18, we had finally completed the keeper step and the only thing left to do was the boss fight. I grabbed myself a new shield and watched as the keeper ascended to the sky. I upgraded the MR6 starting pistol because these puppies are amazing to use against the keeper boss, according to a lot of zombies YouTubers. I placed down the missing fuse onto the pyramid and placed down the Ragnaroks to enter the boss fight. The first thing I did was to begin spraying the lightning bolt to not get myself killed by the skeleton zombies, and as soon as I saw the lightning orb underneath the keeper,
I placed down my Ragnaroks, began shooting his chest with everything I had. And with only 2 magazines, the first wave was done. I picked up a max ammo that spawned in, and suddenly it spawned in about 100 panzers to slaughter my ass. And this went as well as you can expect from me. I got back up quickly because of my self-medication gobblegum, but suddenly I lost all of my ammo on my lightning bow, because apparently on the Eisendrache there is a glitch with the self-medication gobblegum where you lose all your ammo on your bow if you get down. So that was reassuring. So with 0 arrows on my bow, I began spraying the panzers like crazy with the KRM, trying to take each single one down. And after some time I finally killed the last panzer, and a max ammo drop spawned in so I could replenish my bow ammo. The keeper boss began shooting out fireball lava rocks to taunt me for using the lightning bow instead of the fireball, but this didn't stop me at all. So as soon as I saw my chance, I placed down the rags, took out my Death in Texas, and sprayed the living shit out of the keeper's chest, and we were now onto our last wave. As soon as the panzers started raining down, I shot them with everything I had, but it still wasn't enough, so one of them burned me to death. I got back up and began spamming the lightning bow, but suddenly I lost all my arrows again and had to pull all my faith into the KRM once more to complete this wave if I ever wanted to complete this Easter egg. And after a long time of fighting and shooting, we finally took down all the panzers, placed down the DG Force once more, and shot the keeper with the MR6 like my life depended on it. And finally the keeper was dead. And the whole screen went white. I picked up the summoning key, placed it into the computer, and watched as the rockets went flying.
You are foreign of it! Even the destruction of this facility, and my own death, will not prevent the advancement of our cause. You'll stop nothing!
And then we blew up the moon.
Good to see you, Tank.
The Eisendrache completed. Dempsey's soul collected. Only 2 more souls to go, and 3 more Easter eggs to complete.
The Island of Despair, or better known as Zetsubou No Shima, is the second DLC map for Black Ops 3 Zombies, which over time has become a controversial map within the Zombies community. Zetsubou is probably the least played map on Black Ops 3 and has often received a lot of criticism. Personally, I was never a big fan of this map throughout the Black Ops 3's life cycle, but after doing the Easter egg, I have to admit that there was much more to this beauty in disguise than I could ever imagine. So let's dive into the mysteries and secrets of our 4th adventure of this video. So I spawned in, ran straight to the gobblegum machine, cut off the spider web and got shopping free, and immediately ran on a shopping spree like I was Kim Kardashian and opened every door I could come across. I bought the VMP, the Bowie knife and the M8 and picked up the first shield part, and then I ran back to spawn and ended the round. I spun the gobblegum machine once more because I have a crippling gambling addiction. My luck wasn't running out anytime soon because my second spin was Spurkaholic. Next, I picked up the first skull that we needed to clean or something to make the skull on non-subway. I completed the first ritual, placed down the skull and picked up the second one, then I proceeded to complete the second ritual and then I ended the round. Next, I ran over to the challenges pillar to check out what challenges I had to complete, and let's just say I wasn't prepared to play Farming Simulator. The 3 challenges I got was: number 1, use a spore to regain air underwater, and number 2, obtain a power-up from a plant, and number 3, eat a fruit grown from a plant. 3 easy challenges but required a lot of farming. But anyways, I ran over to the blue water side of the map to turn on the power, then I ran over to the green water side and found our first part of the gas mask and turned on the power, and by that we could open the doors to the bunker. I located the second gas mask part and the last shield part, built the shield, ran over to the main power switch and cut off the spider web to begin the lockdown sequence underwater, and while swimming around I actually completed my first challenge in the process. And 10 business days later the door opened and we now had the main power turned on. Next, I completed the last 2 rituals, then the main ritual, and by that we had obtained the coolest specialist weapon of all time, and we could now begin the Easter egg. So, our first step was to mesmerize a picture on a wall by the purple water, and then mesmerize the wall by the elevator to gain access to the COG system. Next, I went down to the deepest part of the bunker and opened the door to the underwater cave where we could find a plan that we needed to build the KT4. Fast forward to round 9, we finally found a zombie with a green vial that we needed for the KT4, and on round 10 we got a power up from a plant and completed our second challenge. Next, I ran over to the blue water side and trapped a spider inside of the cage and extracted the spider's juices or something. Don't ask me. But anyways, we now had all the parts we needed to build the wonder weapon. I ran down to the bunker, mixed all the ingredients we had gathered, and by that we obtained the KT4. The next thing I did was to run across the map to water plants to try to get the fruit plant. And I have to say that running around watering plants isn't that fun. Like, it's a cool mechanic and all, and I appreciate the rewards you can get with watering plants every round like a farmer isn't what I want to do when I'm playing a game of zombies. Anyways, I spun the mystery box to try to get a good weapon and got the brekkie on my first spin. So I took my farming looking ass down to the pack-a-punch and upgraded my shoddy and decided it was time to defeat the gigantic spider boss. I ran down to the spider crib, and as soon as I saw the spider itself, I almost crapped myself. But then I remembered that I had idle eyes ready to go, so I popped that gum thinking that the spider couldn't see me, but I quickly realized that the gum didn't work when it came to spiders, because that fucking abomination began beating my ass as soon as he could, and I almost died multiple times, but after giving him a mouthful of shotgun shells, he finally died so I could pick up the last part that we needed, his tooth. I ran back to the challenge pillar and got a dingo as my reward for the second challenge, and finally on round 14, a plant grew a fruit that I could eat, and by that we had completed all our challenges. Next, I went down to the bunker and picked up rainbow water, dived into the underwater cave, mesmerized a wall and gained access to a new room where I could plant a seed and water it with rainbow water. Next, I ran up to the challenge area and waited for a lightning strike to hit my shield to then hit the controller to the cage at the green water side. And by doing this, the door to the cage opened and we could now pick up a part that we needed for the KT4 upgrade. Next, I spun the gobblegum machine and got anywhere but here, and by using it on this map, you get sent to a special room where we could pick up the first cog that we needed to repair the elevator to gain access to the boss fight area. Next, I got the lightning to hit my shield again, hit the controller to the zip line, and got our second cog, and fast forward to round 17, I'd finally watered the underwater plant 3 times with the rainbow water, and got the last part, or plants, that we needed for the KT4 upgrade. So I mixed the formulas like a nice cocktail, and we had now gathered the Masamune. And with that, we could now begin planting seeds around the map and shoot them with the upgraded KT4 to grow a fucking cannon bullet. I do not know what Jason Blundell was smoking on when he made this map, but it must have been some crazy shit, because what the actual fuck? But anyways, fast forward to round 20. We finally got the bullet we needed, and we can now place this bullet into an artillery cannon so we could shoot down a plane. And fast forward to round 21, the plane finally came flying towards us, so I shot that shit down with my gigantic cannon, located our last cog, placed the cogs into the machine, jumped into the elevator, and it was now time for the boss fight. So the Zetsubou No Shima boss fight is probably the easiest one of them all, because all you have to do is run around in circles and shoot the spores on Takeo's arms, which are KT4. But as you may have experienced by now, anything that is easy in Black Ops 3 Zombies isn't easy to me. So after shooting 2 of the spores on Takeo's arms, I finally got my first down on this map. And I don't even know what happened, but I got hit harder than your uncle's belt on a Sunday when there's no beer left in the fridge. And 2 minutes later, a trasher decided to go all Mike Tyson on my ass and sent me straight to heaven. And as soon as I got revived by my self-medication gobblegum, the recording suddenly stopped early and I didn't get the gameplay of me finishing the boss fight. And if you think I'm just gonna pull up a clip of Steve or something completing the boss fight, then you're absolutely wrong. Since I didn't get the full recording, I of course had to try again to get the gameplay of me completing the boss fight. So I hopped straight into a new game, got my ass cheeks clapped, and tried again, and finally we were back to the boss fight once more. I shot the Chaos arm and round 2 was on. I began spraying my dingle like a madman and almost got myself killed 2 minutes into the boss fight, but barely survived and shot the Chaos first arm. I kept spraying the dingo and the KT4 to not get my ass cheeks clapped once more, and I almost died again, but after jumping over spiders like I was Spider-Man, I managed to survive and shot the Chaos second arm. I kept running around and shooting the KT4 like a sprinkler on crack, but suddenly in the middle of the chaos, a trasher managed to get me red screen. But somehow we managed to survive, and we finally got the Chaos last arm. And by that, we had completed the Zetsubou No Shima Easter egg. The Chaos Soul collected. Only one more to go, and 2 eggs to complete.
Guess it's you next, Nikolai.
Nein. There is something else we must do. There is a chain of events that must be set in motion.
Journey with me deep into the heart of Stalingrad, Russia. A lost city filled with dragons, zombies, drones and Soviet bastards. And most importantly, a drunk Russian with no idea what's going on strapped inside a gigantic mech suit. Welcome to Gorod Krovi, the 3rd DLC map for Black Ops 3 Zombies, a map that took the zombies community by storm. In Eisendrache, we fed dragons. Here in Gorod Krovi, we ride them like mythical steeds. The introduction of the legendary Reagan Mark III and the return of the PPSH. Let's just say we were all feasting when Jason Blundell served up this masterpiece. But enough talk. It's time for us to dive into the streets of Stalingrad, take down a dragon and collect Nikolai's soul once for all. So there I was, dropping into GK like a kid in a candy store, if the candy store was filled with zombies, dragons and drunk Russians in giant mech suits. My first move was to grab quick revive because, let's be honest, no one survives this mess without a backup plan. I began killing zombies, moving through round 2, then I hit the gobblegum machine, fingers crossed and bam, perkahal. And before y'all hop in the comments to cry about me using OP gobblegums to complete all the Easter eggs, just know that there is no way I'm doing this Easter egg with just 4 perks if I want to stay sane and release this video. But anyways, fast forward to round 3. Zombies were getting feisty, but I was getting ready. I finally got shopping free and sprinted around the map like it was Black Friday. Doors flew open and I grabbed the Kuda because the MR6 wasn't doing it for me. I scooped up the first shield part and powered up the map, and I collected my first trophy, so we now had 1 down and only 5 more to go. I dealt with the last zombie, snagged the Dragon Command code cylinder and called in the graph model. I tracked the giant green laser like a heat-seeking missile. And 30 business seconds later, we had our first network circuit, and we were now 1 step closer to Pack-a-Punch. By round 6, I was in the zone. I knocked out the second graph model, found the last 2 shield parts, and grabbed self-medication from the gobblegum machine. Better safe than sorry, right? I built the shield feeling like a DIY master, then came the tank factory graph model. And my brain decided to take a nap and I couldn't find the damn thing anywhere. And when I finally did, it blew up. Fantastic. I was in need of some reassurance, so I hit the mystery box and shining bright onto my eyes, the Reagan Mark III. Finally some good luck. With the last graph model done and the final network circuit in hand, I placed them into the machine by the shield and called in our ride. A fucking dragon. I flew into the Pack-a-Punch area like I was the main character from How to Train Your Dragon and ran into the basement, grabbed the dragon egg and hopped into the sewers. I shot the glowing lights to get the second trophy, placed the dragon egg at spawn, and the next task? Get a dragon to breathe fire on it, like Madeline Klein sets my pants on fire. So I ran in circles like a headless chicken until the dragon finally took the hint and torched the egg. Now we had to wait for it to cool down, and in the meantime, I hit the tank station for our second trophy, then the supply depot for our third. And finally on round 9, we could pick up the dragon egg, and we could now begin our second challenge that was to kill napalm zombies. So I ran around a bit, it, waited for the dragon to breathe fire, and shot him down like flies. And I actually completed one of the 4 main challenges for the challenge board in Spawn, so that was nice. But anyways, I headed to the dragon command. I hopped on the dragon and flew to Pack-a-Punch, upgraded the Mark 3s, and activated the lockdown for the dragon strike. Wave 1, easy. Wave 2, a piece of cake. Wave 3, I picked up the trophy I got from shooting the lights in the sewers. But other than that, a walk in the park. And then we had wave 4. And if you didn't see it, I actually took my first down, but got instantly revived by my self-medication, so thank God. And finally, after a long time of waiting, the lockdown was completed and we got the Dragon Strike controller. I went down to the basement, feeling like I was on a treasure hunt. I placed the egg in the machine, or whatever that thing is, and the second lockdown began. This one was more like a marathon of running around. While I was at it, I powered up a generator with a Valkyrie drone. I have no idea why, but hey, it's a part of the Easter egg. Once the lockdown was done, it was time for the most confusing step of them all, the valve step. Now, the valve step is like solving a Rubik's Cube while blindfolded. First, I had to find the valve with the green light, then the one with the pink cylinder. Next, we had to open up Google, head over to the search bar and write chronorium.com. Choose Black Ops 3 and click on Gorod Krovi. Put in the locations, we found our valves, and by doing this, we now had to set the different valves to the corresponding values on the website. And how any of this makes sense, I do not know, but I must say it again. Thank God that Mr. Waffles exists. But anyways, we now got access to the pink cylinder that we had to give to Sophia. You know, the gigantic talking football in Dragon Command? To keep things rolling, Sophia needed the top secret password. And thankfully, it's the same every game. Kronos. Typed it in, confirmed the password, and headed back to Pack-a-Punch to grab the dragon egg I totally forgot about. Then back to Spawn, where I placed the egg at the challenge board. And just like that, the gauntlet of Siegfried rose from the ashes, probably the coolest specialist weapon in all of Black Ops 3 Zombies. I picked up the Mangler mask to look extra stylish and dripped out, and grabbed the last 2 trophies we needed to keep going with the Easter egg. I placed the trophies down, and it was time for the 6 different trophy challenges. And that, my friends, meant the dreaded bomb step was up next. So, the infamous bomb step. It sounds simple, right? Just a few 6 bombs. But there's a catch. You have to do it in a specific order that changes every game. Get it wrong? Well, then it's game over. My strategy? Pause the screen every time the new location flashed, write down the order, and double check my notes like a paranoid detective. When I was confident I had it, the race began. 3 minutes of frantic running later, all bombs were defused and I could breathe again. And next up, the Valkyrie drone escort. Now, the Valkyrie drone escort is pretty straightforward. Get the drone from spawn to grab Dragon Command without shooting it. Sounds easy, but those zombies love to mess things up. To be smart about it, I grabbed Idolize from the Gobblegum machine so I could transport the drone without the zombies trying to bite my face off. And 3 Idolize later, the Valkyrie drone was safely in place and the challenge was completed. The next challenge I got was to protect, I forgot what it's called. You know, the big rocket thing that we used to get the parts to the Pack-a-Punch? Anyways, this challenge was yet again easy to complete, especially because I had Undead Man Walking activated, which made it even more easy. So as soon as it was done, I sent down my little baby dragon to pick up the cargo, which I had to give to Sophia, and by that, we could proceed to the next challenge, the Gersh step. In this challenge, we had to play hide and seek with a yellow glowing ball that flies around the map and talks. So I located the ball, sent it back to Dragon Command, and then the ball, Dr. Gersh, began talking to Sophia, and suddenly Sophia found out about his affair or some shit and began torturing him. Like, you don't believe me? Just listen to this.
What are you doing? You said you would help me.
Anyways, we were now onto our next challenge, the Mangler Escort. Basically the exact same as the Valkyrie drone escort, but this time the Mangler actually runs away and tries to commit tax fraud if you let him out of sight. So a bit more challenging than the previous ones. So I ran out of the Dragon Command and began my search for the lost Mangler with green eyes and escorted him back to Sophia. And by that we only had one more challenge left. The Mangler Onslaught. I picked up the keycard from the computer and hopped onto a dragon like I was Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones. and flew all the way to the Pack-a-Punch where our final challenge will take place. I upgraded my Draken and placed the key card into a machine, and the Mangler onslaught was on. I now had to survive against waves of Manglers until the download was complete, but I had a strategy as always to make this step a lot easier. All I did was to kill all the Manglers except one on the first wave and train the last Mangler until the download was complete. I picked up the key card, gave it to Sofia, which then gave me the power core to power up Nikolai's mech suit. So I ran back to spawn, sent my little baby dragon to deliver the AA batteries to Nikolai, and it was now time to enter the boss fight. When I ran back to Dragon Command, Sofia were gone and the gateway to the boss fight were now accessible to us. So I hopped into the sewers for the last time, landed onto a gigantic empty field where the final battle would take place. I pressed the big red button as I always do, and a robot began shooting lasers out of his eyes, and rising from the ashes came Ultimus Nikolai in a gigantic mech suit. But Nikolai became the least of my concerns as soon as we had to fight a dragon together. So to take down the dragon, I had to wait for Nikolai to expose its weak spots with a spear. As soon as the dragon's weak spot was exposed, I rained down Mark III bullets like it was a 4th of July fireworks show. In fear of going down, I popped my idolize to save myself and began waiting for Nikolai to throw his spear, and only 5 seconds after the dragon landed, the weak spot was exposed and I destroyed it within seconds. And 30 seconds later, I saw my chance and I took it. But this time I was too slow, so the dragon flew away before I could finish him off. And right after, the dragon began spitting fireballs all around me. And somehow, in the most crazy and intense situation I could ever find myself in, I managed to run to safety and popped my idolize as soon as I had the chance. Just watch this clip again, because that fireball right there will have killed me if I didn't turn around. And as soon as I turned the corner, the dragon's throat was exposed, so I finally finished him off once for all.
The dragon has been defeated. Your bravery is matched only by your drunkenness, Nikolai. Our mission can only be completed if you surrender.
A true Russian never surrenders.
So I popped my idolize as soon as the cutscene was over and shot Nikolai with everything I had. And after about 30 seconds of me awkwardly trying to locate his weak spots, he finally fell onto the ground, and by that, Gorod Krovi was completed.
You think you will kill me now? I am sorry, Nikolai. I wish there was another way. But know this, in my heart, I share the same pain as you. The pain of your own memory. You loved and you lost. Everything else has been delusional fantasy that distance you from painful truth. You know what I speak of. You remember, before the bombs fell, before she was taken from us, some things are forgotten for a reason!
It is done. The souls have been collected, Maxis. We will see you
And only one more map to go.
This was meant to be a new start, really. A perfect world. Free from all the evil that had corrupted each and every corner of the known and unknown universe. It was going to be a place of safety for the kids, the little yous. You, little... well, so far, so good. But things started to go wrong soon after you arrived. Now, I can understand your initial shock coming face to face with Maxis, especially after so long. But you did the right thing. You followed the plan. You brought the summoning key here, and you destroyed that bloody machine once and for all. Thing is, Maxis went and ballsed everything up.
The final chapter in the epic Black Ops 3 zombie saga was unleashed upon us on September the 6th. Revelations exploded onto the scene, sending shockwaves through the zombies community by crafting a love letter to fans. A nostalgic journey that stitched together the best parts of our most cherished maps into one unforgettable experience. Revelations may only have 2 or 3 new locations that we never had seen before, but that doesn't change the fact that this map was the perfect conclusion to the Black Ops 3 zombie saga. This map, without a doubt, delivers the most breathtaking visuals we've ever seen in zombies. An absolute feast for the eyes. But as stunning as it is, Revelations has sparked its share of controversy, particularly when it comes to the Easter egg. And trust me, you'll soon understand why. But why just tell you when I can show you? So buckle up, because it's time to dive headfirst into the grand finale of the greatest Call of Duty Zombies experience ever created. Let's finish the Black Ops 3 saga once and for all. So I spawned in and ran straight to the gobblegum machine as always and got myself Immolation Liquidation, the gobblegum that lets you spawn in 3 fire sale drops. I began spinning the box like a madman and bought myself quick revive just to be safe so I wouldn't see the game over screen before I even finishing round 1. After a few spins, I secured Lil Arnis, so the first piece of the puzzle was in place. Now all I needed was the Thunder Gun, the Apothicon Servant, the Rifty 9 and the Ragnaroks. And as if the RNG gods were smiling down on me, just 2 spins later, I had the Apothicon Servant in my hands. Things were starting to look up. Next, I made my way to the Corruption Engine, yeah, the one that summons those demonic furries or furies or whatever they're called. 30 business seconds later, the job was done and we were ready to move on to round 2. Naturally, I spun the gobblegum machine again, didn't win a gazillion dollars this time, but hey, I scored a Perkaholics, so I wasn't complaining. I started knifing zombies to rack up some points and then took another swing at the gobblegum machine, and this time I got raindrops. Not bad at all. A few spins of the box later and finally the Rift E9 was secure. Then came the moment I was waiting for. I finally pulled shopping free. I went on a shopping free, opening up the origins and mob sites of the map like it was Black Friday. With the cash flowing, I finished another Corruption Engine and officially kicked off the Easter egg by shooting the 4 gravestones near spawn. And our next stop, the Eisendrache. I completed the 3rd Corruption Engine there and then headed to Varuk to take care of the last one. After that, I built a shield in Noct, and for the grand finale of this round, I trapped that gigantic Apothicon gummy worm. I hopped into the gummy worm's mouth like I was Jack Sparrow from the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie and unlocked the Pack-a-Punch. With the Corruption Engine done and dusted, it was time to hunt down all the Keeper Protector parts scattered around the map. Once I had all 3 in hand, I located the Holy Rock or whatever the mystical artifact we needed for the next step of the Easter egg. But before diving into that, I figured it was time to upgrade the Apothicon Servant, mostly because my pockets were feeling a bit too light for comfort. The upgrade quest? It's pretty straightforward, just shoot a few glowing blue rocks in the sky. So after vacuuming up every last rock like a comic cleaning service, I was ready to toss the Apothicon Servants into the Pack-a-Punch machine, or at least I would be once I had enough cash. Fast forward to round 4 and finally luck was on my side. I snagged the Thunder Gun from the box, and now I was only missing the Ragnaroks to be fully set. They weren't mandatory, but hey, who doesn't like a little extra firepower in their back pocket? Next up, I grabbed another shopping free, and I got to upgrading my Rift E9, Apothicon Servant, and Thunder Gun. With my arsenal fully juiced up, I made my way over to Varuk to summon the Keeper Protector. Once summoned, I played escort duty, guiding the Keeper to the Holy Rock we found by the cafeteria at Mob of the Dead. As soon as the Keeper laid eyes on the stone, he started his ritual ritualistic dance. Let's just say it was less so a sacred rite and more like a lap dance with some ancient flair. And my job? To protect him like the world's most dedicated nightclub bouncer. So after 35 business days of shooting and bombing zombies like I was Barack Obama with his drone strikes, the keeper was finished and we could now pick up a film reel on the ground. The next step in our journey was to toss Lil Arnis into 9 different holes inside the gigantic gummy worm. And it sounds simple, right? Well, not exactly. This step turned out to be more of a challenge than I expected. I literally failed 3 times just trying to hit the second hole, but after finally landing 3 Arnis in the 3 holes, I was greeted by the arrival of 3 Marvelous. And that was no problem though. I pulled out my thunder gun and blasted them into dust. With that one done, I geared up to repeat the process, but there's a catch. I kept forgetting which holes I'd already thrown the Arnis into. And let's just say, things got a bit messy. What started as a straightforward task on round 9 turned into an endurance test, dragging on until round 17. By the time I was done, I had used a grand total of 21 Lil Arnis, and my sanity was hanging by a thread. And before diving into the next major step, I decided to tackle a little side Easter egg, commonly known as the weapon swap table, the Tommy gun wall by Easter egg, whatever you prefer to call it. My first move was to grab a piece of chalk in Eisendrache, which kicked off the task of collecting famous zombies quotes scattered around the map. The goal? To place these quotes in their original locations. Once all the quotes were in place, the reward was unlocking the weapon trading table, or whatever it's called, allowing us to stash one of our weapons and pick up a new one. And this was crucial, because the next step of the Easter egg requires a bullet-based gun. And I wasn't entirely sure if my laser shooting pistol will cut it, so I opted to grab the Tommy gun instead, just to play it safe. The next step in the Easter egg is, without a doubt, one of the most confusing and difficult ones to complete. Our mission? To gather different pieces of bones hidden inside stones scattered across the map. The real challenge though was actually finding the right stones, because there are literally a million of them littered around the map. Even with a Mr. Rough Waffles guide playing in the background, this step felt like trying to find a needle in a haystack while blindfolded. To make matters worse, I took my first down of the game while desperately trying to hit the damn thing, but after spraying my Tommy gun like a bootlegger in the 1920s Chicago, I finally hit the right stone and sucked up the bones with my apothecary servant. The next one? No problem. But then came the infamous wall run stone. You're supposed to wall run outside the map from the Eisendrache and shoot the stone while mid-air, and yeah, not exactly something I was keen on attempting. Instead, I opted for plan B, traveling to Noct and trying to snipe the stone from a window. And turns out, hitting a tiny rock from that distance with a Tommy gun is about as easy as winning the lottery. So after burning through 32 magazines and taking my second down of the game, I finally hit the rock and collected the bones. I gathered the remaining bones without too much hassle, then made my way back to Noct. There I found all the bones on the ground and sucked them up with my apothecary servant once more, and finally I finished off the step by sucking up the lady zombie lying on the ground. And I know what you're thinking, but this step is literally all about shooting and sucking things up, so just roll with it. And with that, this frustrating step was finally complete. With the bone step out of the way, I placed an audio reel by Origins and prepared for the next task, using all the laser cannons and aiming them towards a rock or something so they will all converge on Noct. And why, you may ask? Because an old friend was waiting for us, the gigantic talking football, or better known as Sophia. I decided to give Sophia the grand tour, showing her around the map. She eventually found a cozy spot on top of the keynote teleporter, where she powered it up like the superstar she is. I stepped into the teleporter and was whisked away to Samantha's room, where I picked up the chronorium, and then it was back to the keynote to place the chronorium on the stage, which somehow sent glowing balls or something like that into the original Pack-a-Punch room. Next up was the egg hunt. We needed to pick up 4 different eggs and place them inside the gigantic gummy worm to then fill them up with zombie souls, and once they were all in place, I managed to take another down during this step, because why not? And after filling the soul boxes, the eggs transformed into gummy worms. Our job was to place these gummy worms around the map to gather the symbols we needed for the next step. After collecting all 4 symbols, we were finally ready to enter the first part of the boss fight. The first task was to run over to the chronorium and retrieve the 4 symbols from the book, making sure to note down the order. With that done, I had to match the corresponding symbols on the chronorium until all 4 were in front of me. As soon as they were in place, the room's atmosphere shifted dramatically, lighting crackled in the air, walls rose up from the ground, and before I knew it, I was surrounded by Margwas. But with my trusty thunder gun in hand, I blasted my way through them, causing the walls to fall back down. And just when I thought I could catch my breath, the room transformed again, this time with a twist. Suddenly, I was bouncing around like I was on the moon, leaping from circle to circle, taking down Margwa after Margwa, while soaring through the air like a fighter jet on a bombing run. After some more aerial acrobatics and spraying, the anti-gravity finally turned off, signaling the end of the wave. There was no time to relax. The room shifted once more. Elemental Margwa spawned in, and the pillars in the room started moving around just to make things more chaotic. To top it all off, big purple lightning strikes began zapping across the room. I ran around narrowly avoiding disaster, but at one point I got red screen and found myself trapped in a corner with 2 Margwas closing in. Just when it seemed like the end, the lights flashed and the wave was finally over. But again, there was no time to rest. In the blink of an eye, the floor turned to lava and the final wave began. Elemental fire Margwas erupted into the room, ready to finish me off. But as you all know, I don't go down in epic situations like this, only in the dumb ones. So once more, I fought my way through it, and from the sky, the summoning key descended. I grabbed it and got teleported back to Kino. Now the mission was clear. I had to throw the summoning key at different objects around the map like I was a LeBron James. I grabbed raindrops from the Gobblegum machine just in case, because apparently this step can be a bit buggy. With that insurance in hand, I headed back to Kino to throw the summoning key once more. But let's just say my basketball career didn't exactly take off, because I was struggling to hit the target. After several frustrating attempts, I finally made the shot and continued on my journey. Everything was going smoothly until disaster struck. After going through one of the teleporters in Nacht, the summoning key literally despawned, thanks to a glitch with this step. Panic set in, but after some quick googling, I found a potential fix. If I could grab a death machine drop, the summoning key just magically reappear in front of me. So desperate, I gave it a shot, and believe it or not, it actually worked. The summoning key popped back into existence, and I quickly finished the last 3 parts of the step. With that done, I grabbed self-medication, knowing what was next. The final boss fight of them all. I entered the Kino teleporter once more and was sent back to the boss fight arena, ready to face whatever awaited me. The moment had arrived. A green fire erupted on an altar before me, and I placed the summoning key down, signaling the start of the first wave. Instantly, hordes of keepers, furies, and other nightmarish creatures charged towards me. And just when I thought I couldn't get any worse, Panzers and Margwas joined the fray. It was pure chaos. With the arena overflowing with enemies, I fought desperately, collecting enough souls to charge the summoning key. I picked it up and hurled it at Sophia, who responded by firing a blazing red laser at the Shadow Man, and this was my moment. I threw down a little Arnie and began spamming the Rift E9, but my aim, to put it kindly, wasn't exactly on point. And in the heart of the battle, I got myself killed and failed away. But there was no time to dwell on my mistakes. I got revived by my self-med and was thrown back into the fight as the room transformed, crackling with lightning, signaling the start of the second wave. Determined not to make the same mistake twice, I threw down another little Arnie and unleashed a relentless storm with my Apothecon Servant and Thunder Gun. The room then shifted again, this time into a fiery inferno, ramping up the difficulty even more. Feeling ready to finish it all, I grabbed the fully charged summoning key and made a mad dash across the lava-staked floor, carefully navigating my way towards Sophia. And just as I was about to make the throw, the room shifted back to its normal state. Channeling my inner Michael Jordan, I launched the summoning key with perfect precision. I loaded up another little Arnie the moment I had the chance, and this time I unleashed the Rift E9 with unrelenting accuracy, almost every shot finding its mark. I watched as the Shadow Man was sucked into the Apothecon's mouse, So I rushed to press X on the Chronorium, only to realize in horror that the Shadow Man wasn't defeated yet. And in a desperate bid for survival, I spammed the Apothicon Servant, clearing a path to safety, but the room had one more trick up its sleeve. I placed the summoning key once more, not realizing that the floor beneath me was dealing damage, and before I knew it, I was down again. So with everything on the line, I filled up the summoning key and began flinching little Arnis in every direction. I grabbed the summoning key and threw it at Sophia for the third time. With everything I had left, I unleashed a barrage on the Shadow Man, even turning to throw my last little Arnie. And while shooting the Shadow Man in the Apothecon's mouth, it finally happened.
Sophia, you know what we must do, my dear.
Yes, my love.
We will do it together. As one we are, now and forever.
With the evil vanquished, I can start making it all nice again. No undead, no apothecons, no shadow man. All of it gone. Forever. But here's the funny thing. You snowflakes shouldn't even still be here. You should be fading out of existence by now. Those blood vials.
I was wondering when you'd bring this up.
They're from realities we've already closed off. They shouldn't be here. They can't be here. Such a paradox means you're putting my perfect world at risk. You guys and your bloody free will. What to do? What to do? Well, you certainly can't stay here.
You could send us somewhere else. Somewhere we've never been.
I suppose I could make a little corner somewhere in history. A place where I can dump some of the other shit that I've left over. Or I just wipe you from existence. Hang on. Actually, that all works out perfectly.